It's November here in central Florida, and we got the cranberry hibiscus flowering. Wow, this is cool. I've never had this plant before. Look at that, it's got purple flowers and there's a bunch of yellow pollen on the inside. Very pretty. And they're supposed to be edible. You can eat in your salad, eat fresh. And you can see lots of flowers about to bloom here. We had a cold, 3-day cold spurt in the beginning of November, where it got down to mid to upper 30s, and now we're enjoying this like 3-week stretch of 70s, almost 80s here in middle to end of November. And I have 1 acre here in central Florida, 1 acre, and right now we're in what I call the old forest. You have a collection of 4 to 5 pine trees and 3 oak trees. So you got a lot of shade here. Planted this to give it most shade, and it gets a few hours of sun in the wintertime. And that is the adjacent lot, 1.5 acre lot that's unoccupied. So it's nice to have that extra open, natural environment space to view. And there's a Brittany mix. She spends her whole day hunting lizards all day, every day. Never gets tired of it. Been at this property for 3 months. So this is like the first little tour to kind of just see the progression of how it started. This is like one of the first plants that I bought at Home Depot. My mom was visiting, so we just went to Home Depot and bought 3 or 4 plants. You know, add some beauty around the house. Mexican petunia, it'll fill up this whole little area here. Pretty purple flowers, hummingbirds like it. And then hibiscus, which I'll probably add another one. Have like a little hedge. The hibiscus, you got the pretty tropical looking flowers. And got this oak tree dropping its leaves. It's pretty. Brownish yellow, golden leaves. And you can see the old forest here, the oak trees and pine trees there. And then there's one of the first collection of fruit trees that I've started. This is avocado mexicola, which I've seen in person grow and do really well in central Florida. This one's cold hardy, so it's in a more colder spot in the yard as the sun rises over that direction. It's blocked by the sun for the first few hours in the winter. So, but more of the cold hardy stuff over on this side of the yard. But the mexicola is a Mexican variety of avocado, so it's more cold tolerant, and the fruits have higher oil content. So these ones are more creamy. They're better for making guacamole, and the skin is edible. And this tree should get to about 15, 20 feet, but I'll keep it pruned to under 15 feet. And as you can see, I have fence around the trees for the first couple of years to help prevent the dogs from digging around the soil. They smell the compost and the mulch and they want to dig underneath, so that will protect the tree until it gets bigger. And then also, not just because of the dogs, but for the deer, we get a lot of deer that will come into this yard at night into the early morning, and they'll just hop on over. So it'll provide some protection from the deer from knocking the tree over until they get bigger. And I have a goldenrod that I bought at a local nursery. They had a lot of cool native plants. So on this side of the fence, I plan on putting lots of pollinating plants to kind of as an attraction to bring the bees and butterflies. So it's easy for the pollinators, the birds, the bees to see along this fence. So the first one here is a goldenrod. It's pretty much almost done flowering. This one, I notice it attracts a lot of different wasps, huge wasps, small wasps, other bees different than the usual honeybees. So this one's a good attractor for the local pollinators. They love the flowers here. As you can see, last bit of flowers on here. And there's dogs looking for lizards. You find a lizard yet? Huh? Yeah? And we have, so I got, besides the pollinating plants, I got some grasses that I'm putting here, used for chop and drop for the fruit trees. Another pollinating plant. What is this one? This is the salvia. It's sage, tropical sage, yeah. It produces like the red flowers. It should be a attractor for the hummingbirds. Because the hummingbirds like the red flowers is their favorite. And I think this spreads a few feet, so it should form a nice big clump of it. And then there's some vetiver. I have vetiver. This is the vetiver. This right there, and then this is Fakahatchee. There's another tall grass that it's a favorite for like the cows. That's like the ice cream grass. I guess they call it Eastern Gambit grass. In Florida, they call it Fakahatchee. So if you have cattle, that's good to grow a bunch of that in your yard. It gives them a lot of high nitrogen, high protein value to it, and it grows real fast in the summertime. Native to southeast, so it'll be used as chop and drop for me. Florida, the soil is good, like in the sense that it drains well. So I don't have any problems here with in my yard with flooding or root rot, but the soil lacks in vitality and fertility, so this will help add some fertility in the soil, bring the bugs into the soil, and mulch down on the grasses, and then add final nutrients to the tree. And this is an apple, apple. That's a low chill variety that I bought. I probably won't grow any more than one apple. I might propagate a second variety on here for better pollination. But yeah, again, this yard is, I just bought this place 3 months ago, so all these trees are brand new and shouldn't really see any growth on the trees until springtime, until April. But right now, yeah, fall's a good time to plant your trees because it gives the tree plenty of time to start establishing its root structure, its root system getting established. And the stronger your root system, the faster it's going to grow leaves and fruits and be able to take up more nutrients and water. Yeah, here's a nice little oak tree. Gives really good shade. Plan on putting like a swing on that branch there and just chilling. And yeah, this 1 acre lot, the lady lived here the whole 40 years, and this is the only fruit tree that was here for 40 years. Yeah, which is like a lemon tree. It's an old lemon tree. You can see how big the trunk is, and yeah, pretty good lemons, but it's struggling from some disease, probably greening disease, and it's very thorny. It's in a shaded area, so it doesn't get a lot of sun, probably doesn't get enough sun. What I'll do is probably wait until springtime and get a better idea of like where it's growing and where it's not growing, where it's dead and where it's still living. And this will probably get a big prune, and we'll see how it does next year. If it doesn't do well, then I'll remove it and put something else. But you see, like, pretty cool, all these like mushrooms growing on it because it's in a very shaded area because of the surrounding oak trees. If you know what kind of mushroom that is, let me know. So yeah, I'd say this is the coldest part of the yard. This is the southeast corner. And so yeah, southeast corner, which means it's getting sun later in the day, if any sun at all. As you can see, the sun's right there, and it's about noonish. And this is a good spot to put your deciduous trees. So if you're new to gardening, it's good to know your land really well, to know which are the cold spots and which are the hotter spots, which areas flood and which areas are drier, because trees, they have their own needs and wants. So like the deciduous trees, they do better when they get plenty of chill hours, when the temperature drops below 50 degrees. So every hour below 50 degrees is a chill hour. And so like this deciduous trees like the peaches, plums, apples, apricots, they all prefer a minimum amount of chill hours in the wintertime to have produce a better fruit set. So this will be where all the peaches, and I don't know what else I'm gonna plant, whether it's gonna be plums or persimmons, or still deciding. But for now, we still have that old lemon tree, and then I bought 2 peaches. And so Strider loves eating the grass I planted. I can't remember the name of it. It's called like the love grass or something. Is that grass good? Yummy? Yeah? Is that good? So this is the Florida Prince. This is a medium-sized, yellow-flushed, very juicy peach tree that does really well in subtropical regions where you have lower amount of chill hours in the winter. It only requires about 150 chill hours, and this one, as soon as it goes fully dormant, it may take another month and a half because we got that just warmed up back into the upper 70s. So as soon as it goes dormant and it loses all its leaves, I'll see. Right now it's probably like 7 feet, but what I'll do is when it's dormant, I'll cut it to about 3.5, 4 feet, the trunk, and then in the springtime it'll produce new branching. So we'll get nice branching that starts about 3.5 feet from the ground, so that it's easier to pick the fruits in the summertime. And this produces peaches, I believe, and depends on where you're at, but probably end of May, beginning of June. And now, yeah, in this corner you have I have my bamboo forest clump that has been useful. As I said, I put the fencing around the trees, protecting the dogs digging the holes and from the deers knocking it over. I was gonna buy stakes at Home Depot, but $5-6 a stake would have added up quickly. I don't want to spend $100 on stakes. So this bamboo forest, I've just been cutting down the bamboo, cutting it into sections, and using those as stakes. Before I get to the other peach tree, this is a bottle brush tree that I bought because it's a good pollinator. The bumblebees and bees, they love the flowers in the summertime. This was a 15-gallon I bought at a local small nursery. I had this one in the driveway when I was growing up. We had like a long, 30-foot stretch of this bush that goes up to about 10, 12 feet. I just remember it always had tons of bumblebees on it. So that's one of the reasons why I bought that. And then there's a second peach tree, and he's biting the other second lump of grass. And I'll do the same thing with this one. Prune it down about 3.5 feet. Cut it down to about 3.5, 4 feet, so the branches are a little lower. And this one is a tropic snow, which is a white-fleshed peach. It does really well in subtropical areas. And both this tropic snow and the Florida Prince produce hundreds of peaches. Once mature, it can produce, I've seen produce up to like nearly 1,000 fruits. So these are both very productive. In the backyard here, as you can see, I got 3 tall pine trees, or 4 tall pine trees. It produces a lot of pine needles on the ground. Which I'm not against the pine needles. I like the smell of the fresh pine needles on the ground, but the dogs, especially him, he likes to dig small holes, and then it's hard to rake back in the sand into the holes because you're raking up all these pine needles and they just get everywhere. So I just decided to start raking those up. You can see all the little piles. Just slowly take my time on that, no rush. But I'll just gather all those pine needles and put into the old forest over there, and they can decompose over there. They take forever to break down. That's one of the reasons. I mean, they could be a good mulch on, top layer mulch, because it's not going to break down. So it'll keep the lower levels of mulch moist. Yeah, and let's see, so I bought the apple tree, the 2 peaches, and 2 mulberries. Mulberry, probably top 5 easiest tree to grow in Florida and in the Southwest. They're just very vigorous roots. You don't want to put them close to the house. The root system are really strong, and they can lift the ground underneath the house and cause problems. So I just plant these far away from the house, and they'll grow. This one is a Thai ever-bearing dwarf, so it'll get up to about 15 feet. But this one produces, plus I've seen videos where it produces just thousands of mulberries, those small to medium size. And as you can see, with any deciduous tree in the fall, winter, they're not going to look good because they're just like the oak tree drops its leaves, but it just drops a lot slower, at a lot slower rate. So this time next year, this tree will be like, this probably 3 to 4 times bigger. And the good thing about mulberries is that it produces fruit in the first year. So you're going to get fruit, and you're going to be able to try it out. You don't have to wait 3 years for it to try. So that's why it's another good reason to plant mulberries first. And this one is they were both 3-gallon trees. This is not a Pakistani, it's a Shangri-La. As you can see, it looks like crap because it's fall and it's dropping its leaves. But this one, see, the other one will probably grow like 3 or 4 times size. This will grow at least, this will double, triple in size by fall next year. And these will produce medium-sized black mulberries that have like a sweeter taste. And these ones are really juicy. These ones kind of stain your fingers a little bit. And this one, I'll probably grow 2 of these. And because these ones are local to Florida, so they do really well in the soil. They don't have the nematode issues. And so this one, I can also graft different varieties like the Pakistani that are known to have some nematode issues. The Pakistani is the best tasting mulberry. Those are like, these get like 3 to 5 inches long, and those are like sweet, like maple syrupy sweet. So I'll graft, once this gets bigger, I'll definitely graft a Pakistani variety on there. And if anybody in Florida knows about these potatoes, they just grow, I think it's from that potato vine over there. I just randomly find these potatoes on the ground that I think my dogs dig up. And this is the back corner. This is the northeast corner. And this one gets a lot of shade from that tree and this tree, which I'm going to try to prune sometime this winter from the neighbor's yard. And I just planted, one thing I planted over here so far is a katuk plant, which is edible. The leaves are edible. You can cook with them, eat them fresh, I believe. And this supposedly grows real vigorously, so this should like quadruple in size the first year. And then I also plan on putting a eucalyptus tree. Eucalyptus trees are my favorite, and there's a few varieties that don't get over 15 feet. So I plan on putting it here in the back side of the yard. And as you can see, this is the north side of the yard, which is nice because the fence here is going to provide that wind protection in the wintertime if it ever gets below 40 degrees. So I'm going to have here mostly tropical trees, avocados and mangoes, jackfruit, longan, sapotes, and we'll see what else. But yeah, and not only does it have the protection from the fence, from the wind, and in this wintertime, it also gets sun within an hour of rising in the wintertime, so it's a warm spot. Yeah, you can see the dogs, they like to dig. And this is another natural native pollinator, the fire bush. That supposedly the hummingbirds and bees like. I haven't really seen too many bees on these, to be honest. The bees I've seen mostly are on the native, what do you call it, the Spanish needle. Yeah, oh man, what is it called? I can't remember. There's a bunch in the front yard. The bees really love that, and they like the flowers of the native weeds. So weeds are not a bad thing. I like to keep the weeds along the perimeter of the yard. This is the second avocado so far that I bought, and it is the winter Mexican, which I've seen in person does well in Central Florida. It was a 3-gallon, and yeah, you're not going to see any growth on this until April, May, and it'll probably grow slow. Avocados, they don't grow too fast the first year. The main thing is getting the roots established. And so avocados, a lot of misconceptions on them. I don't recommend any beginner growers to grow avocados because they're an advanced plant that they're very needy and sensitive. First off, yeah, this winter Mexican and the mexicola on the other side are cold hardy, but they're cold hardy once they're established and more mature, when they have a trunk of like at least 3 inches diameter and they have some bark on the trunk and some of the branches. And avocados, they love water. They love water. They don't hate water. They just don't like to be stuck in, like they call, wet feet. You don't want to put this in a spot that doesn't drain well. So my yard, my lot It's kind of unique in Florida. It doesn't flood at all. We had one day where in October where it rained like moderate to heavy for 8 hours and it didn't flood anywhere, even in the lower parts of the front yard. And there's a slight slope that goes towards the front. And so this backyard drains really well. And so this is a good area to put the avocados. I know the soil drains well. And then you also want to, raise it up a couple inches so the crown of the top layer of the roots are exposed. So I have it up a couple inches above the ground, and it's in an area that drains really well. So the main thing for the avocados, for me and for anybody really, is to give it a lot of mulch. They're heavy feeders. They like very fertile soils, so tons of mulch, wood chips, chop and drop, leaves. Just give them a lot of mulch. And as you see, most of my trees, I have this cypress mulch from Home Depot, Lowe's, that I'm just using in the beginning. So there's some level of mulch around my trees to help, because the soil drains so fast. It helped retain the water in the roots, so I don't have to water as much. But eventually, this whole section here, I plan on getting a huge load of wood chips from the tree trimmers, and so this whole area will be filled. This side here will be filled with wood chips, and then and then in between the fruit trees, we'll have pollinating plants and chop and drop. Like you can see the Mexican sunflower there. Bought that for $10, and it's just 4 big sections of sunflowers. Yeah, so avocado trees, don't recommend you plant right away unless you've been doing this for a while and you know your yard very well. So if you're in Central Florida or further north, recommend you get at least a couple of the cold hardy varieties, and just remember that you may have to protect them the first couple of years until they get more established and get some thicker bark on the trunk. So yeah, so far I got 2 avocados, and you can see, oh look, perfect. The bees, they like the sunflowers. It's one of the few plants that are still producing flowers at this time of year. And yeah, the flowers smell really good. But I'm not gonna go up there right now because the bees are competing. It looks like there's like a honeybee there. And there's like this other yellow bee. Yeah, they love it. And so yeah, the reason I have this behind the fruit trees is it's gonna grow real tall, like 10, 12 feet. And so I don't want to shade out the fruit trees. But this will be used as chop and drop. This produces, I think from what I understand, pound for pound, the same amount of nitrogen as chicken manure. And yeah, here is the first mango, Sussy Love. It was just a small little 3-gallon that I was gonna wait to plant in the spring, and because it's gonna be very cold sensitive because it's so small. But I figure it's so small, if it does get into the 30s, I can easily cover it with a trash can and protect it. So might as well get it in the ground as soon as possible, get those roots growing and spreading and getting established. And here's the second mango. This is the Glen mango. The person I bought this from, he had a mature Glen mango in his backyard, so I was able to see how big it gets. And this is supposed to be a semi-dwarf, so you can keep it under 15 feet fairly easy. And you can see the shape. It's awesome. It's got a trunk and then 3 main branches growing, so it's gonna make a great, it's already a greatly shaped tree that I'm not really gonna have to prune much in the beginning. And the trunk has some decent amount of bark on there, so it should be fairly cold hardy. But that'd be easy to protect, put shade fabric over the fence if I need to. And then here in the front, so it doesn't get shaded by the mango trees, is a cherry guava, or a strawberry guava. And it produces small red cherry looking guavas, and it should grow to about up to 7 feet, but I'll keep it like in a bush form. It produces tons of fruits, so you don't have to let it get huge to get lots of fruits on it. And then this is the orange sherbet, and this is like one of the only mangoes that I've tried, that I've planted, and this one's delicious. It's like an orange, citrusy, sweet mango, a little bit of tartness that produces no fiber, and it's very creamy, and yeah, that's why they call it orange sherbet, because it's very it tastes like the orange push-ups from the ice cream man. And that one's pretty good too, 7-gallon. The Glen mango was a 7-gallon as well. And this one's another semi-dwarf that mostly produces lots of mangoes. It's a pretty heavy bearer. And this is the jackfruit, 3-gallon. I believe she said it was a orange crush that I bought at a local nursery in near Orlando, but this one's already producing new growth. And I always like the jackfruit trees. They're always the prettiest. Yeah, their leaves are just always like perfect looking, super green and glossy and nice shaped. And this will grow, I don't think they grow too wide, they grow more upright. And I have these in the back in between the mangoes. And if you don't know, the jackfruit, the fruits themselves are really big. I think this will get up to like 20 pounds per fruit, and the fruit is reminiscent of original bubblegum flavor. So that's where they got the idea for the flavor. They got the synthetic version, made a synthetic version of the jackfruit. And you can also cook them when the fruits are unripe, like a plantain. You can cook the plantain bananas. You can cook the green jackfruit as well. And this is the last mango. This is the fourth mango I have, and it is a Nam Dak Mai, which is a Thai variety from Thailand. And yeah, I'm not sure on the growth pattern of these, but I know they're semi-dwarf as well. So I shouldn't get over 15 feet. Yeah, it's actually a Nam Dak Mai number 4. And yeah, I don't know. It looks like might be more of an upright grower, and supposed to produce a sweet, creamy, fiberless mango that you see. And if you travel to Thailand, they use it a lot in sticky rice, and this makes a good dessert. Actually, the best smoothie I ever had was in Thailand. It was a mango smoothie, and that thing was just so sweet. It was amazing. And it could have been the Nam Dak Mai mango, for all I know. And yeah, so this whole yard on the side, you can see there's a slight slope that goes down that way. And I think I plan on putting another cold hardy Mexican avocado over here to help provide more insulation for the mango trees. The mature mangoes are really only hardy down to like the low 30s, whereas the cold hardy avocados, when they're mature, they're cold hardy down to like the low 20s. So and in the front yard, I plan on putting 2 pecan trees on each side of the front of the driveway, which will provide a nice little entryway to see these. My last neighborhood, they had this really old house. They had 2 like really old, tall pecan trees. Let me go over there and pick up the pecans that were falling on the ground, and yeah, it's one of my favorite nuts, and they do really well in Florida. And yeah, so this is the first little tour of the yard, only 3 months after moving in. And then I plan on putting a lot of bananas and papayas along this side of the fence too as well. And it's pretty quiet out here. So that's a wrap up on the very first tour in November 2025. 3 months, 3-month-old fruit forest.